Somewhere I lost my mount that I use to hold this camera, so I'm back to holding it with my hands and making videos. Sorry about that, folks. I'll find it. It's around here somewhere. Anyway, today I just wanted to make a video on ideological conflicts in the workplace. What do I mean by that? Well, we understand the idea of the difference between your personal persona and your professional persona. Now, recently I may have violated the social mores and allowed my personal persona to affect my professional persona, and that may be the reason that I was recently let go from my last job of nearly 5 years. Now, some of you might be familiar with what I'm talking about already, and it relates to my unwillingness to capitulate to Islam. Now, what does it mean to capitulate? Well, I guess that could be left up to interpretation. But in my particular case, I was assigned a student with the first name of FNU. FNU. Funny sounding name, huh? Well, let me explain this. It's not actually a name. It's an immigrant designation that's used on immigration forms when a person's name will not fit into the conventional naming fields on those forms. So, for example, if you get a person with several names or a string of names that doesn't fit into that form, immigration standards or procedures are such that they can assign a person with the designation for their first name of first name unknown. That's what FNU stands for. Now, it works for surnames as well, and you'll see people with a first name and then LNU. That's not actually a name, that's an immigration designation of last name unknown. So, when I was presented with this student, or assigned this student, they had FNU as a designation for their first name and then an Arabic surname. Now, without regards to the person's race or religion, I think it's reasonable to assume that a person with a last name that is an Arabic name, who is an immigrant with the immigration designation of first name unknown, it is likely, very likely, that that person has immigrated from an Islamic country. Makes sense, right? I did not feel comfortable serving or interacting with a student that is an immigrant from an Islamic country in this particular political climate. And I'm sure if you understand anything about Islam, you can understand why I made that decision. Now, I did not make any demands. I did not yell. I did not scream. And I did not, as I was written up for, use the words Muslim illegal immigrants. Now, why did I not use those words? Well, because I know that the person is not an illegal immigrant. Why did I not use the word Muslim? Because I don't know if they're a Muslim. They could be Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, for all I know. It's doubtful. Chances are that the person is a Muslim, but I don't know that. Now, there's also the factor of language barriers or accent barriers. Now, I have a pretty good ear for accents. There's not too many foreign accents that, with a little bit of effort, I can't discern what is being said by the person who is saying it, right? No matter how thick their accent. If you've ever been to the South, you'll know what I'm talking about, you know? Down there they say oil, not oil. Well, okay, I can get around that. The same is true for most foreign accents. There is, however, an exception. I have a particularly difficult time understanding accents that come from languages such as found in the Middle East. I don't know what it is. It's just that the sounds are so foreign to me, it's very difficult for me to understand what's being said. Now, an Indian accent is also the same. The case is the same with the Indian accent. Have you ever called for technical support and you get on the other end of the phone, "Hello, this is Pakonji, how can I help you?" Well, okay. Now you get the idea. So it's kind of hard to work with that, especially if I'm trying to service a student. Now, one aspect of my job was to make telephone contact with that student. That's an opportunity for me as an IT instructor to make a warm contact with that student, develop a rapport with them right from the get-go. And in order to be able to facilitate that, I've got to understand what they're talking about. I've got to understand the words coming out of their mouths, and it goes in both directions. So I don't think that it was an unreasonable request for me to make that this student be taken on by another instructor. So there you have two reasons that I thought it was reasonable to request that I not be the person to help this student. Now, the reason I was discharged was never disclosed. I was told that it was at-will employment and that I could be discharged at any time with no explanation. And that is true. That is what I was told. That was the official position that the school took. Now, in filing for unemployment, part of the process involves a phone interview. In that phone interview, I was asked for my own personal opinion on why I thought I was discharged. The gentleman was very professional, but he was also very persistent. He did not want to accept that I was simply discharged from at-will employment with no explanation, which is the fact, but he thought there was more to it, which there was. So I had a conversation with him, and my mistake was that I told the truth. My mistake was that I was honest. My mistake is that I described this to him. Now I think, and I could be way off base, but I think that that's the reason that the Employment Development Department decided to deny my unemployment benefits. And if you've never seen any of my other videos, I live in liberal La La Land, California. So that should explain a little bit. Now, the fact is that I don't know what information my previous employer may have given the EDD. I have yet to find that out, and so I appealed and I requested that. I didn't file a subpoena because I'm not at that point yet, but I am going to be going down that road if it's necessary. I did request a hearing, and so I've, mailed the file out. I just have to wait for a response. Now, I'm confident that I'll get a hearing, and I'm confident that if my previous employer shows up at the hearing, that the reason I just went through and described to you folks is the reason that they're going to present for discharging me. No worries. I have my arguments laid out for that. We'll see how that goes, but I'm hoping that the state will recognize that this was a one-time incident, a lapse in judgment, a dereliction of my professional character, which does not ever happen without good and just cause. Now, I've laid out my reasons. You tell me in the comment section. Thumb this video up, thumb it down, but let me know if you think my concerns were valid or not, and if not, why they weren't valid. But my primary concern is that by serving a student coming from an Islamic country, I am indirectly capitulating to the advancement of Islam in the United States. And I don't want any part of that. I am anti-Islamic. I am not Islamophobia. I do not have Islamophobia. I have Islamonausea, but not Islamophobia. So, let me know. Rate, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you think that this is going to become a problem in the workplace. A conflict in ideologies between patriots and between the state, or with liberals, or multiculturalism, or the left, who just seems to want to bring in as much Islam into this country as humanly possible, because they both have the same goal: destruction of Western culture, Western values, and Western civilization. So let me know what y'all think. Hope you're having a great day. I'm going to sign off. I'll make another video later. Catch you on the flip side.